Let's go now to learning new languages. This is with PI Dr. Elliot McCarter, senior lecturer in Asian studies in Hindu and Urdu. And the data scientist lead was Umang Chaudhry. Team, please tell us what you did.
All right, let me just get my screen sharing. Oh. All right, can everybody see my screen? All right. Perfect. So we're the Learning New Languages team and project that aims to augment low resource foreign language teaching and learning with AI. And I just wanted to quickly introduce the team before I hand it off to them. So as Jesse said, our PI is Dr. Elliot McCarter, who's a professor who teaches Hindi and Urdu here at Vanderbilt. I was the lead data scientist, and then we have Sean, Ryan, and Varun, a very strong team that worked super hard on this project. So handing it off to you guys.
Right, so as we all know, language is constantly evolving, but the way that we teach them is not. Every day we come up with new words to fit new situations or events that arise in our lives and in our society. But we also use the same antiquated teaching methods, using rules that are now inconsistent or obsolete. So these rigid approaches to teaching languages don't account for things such as slang or colloquialisms. And less commonly taught languages such as Hindi face the biggest challenges in staying current when it comes to language learning methods. All right, so our goals for this project were threefold. The first was to develop an AI assistant to aid language professors. The second was to develop tools that allow curriculums to be current with changes in language. And the third was to do so through an easily replicable process. All right, so as it stands currently, the existing materials used for teaching Hindi are overly formal, usually rooted in a pure version of language like Sanskrit, for example. Meanwhile, conversational Hindi often differs quite significantly from Hindi taught in the classroom. Notably, Hindi is a very flexible language with lots of loanwords, words adopted from other languages. Given this fact, it's easy to see how Hindi language textbooks may get outdated very quickly. So here's our approach. So we know through our previous work that we can generate vocabulary sets on a given topic with large language models. Therefore, we chose to identify and develop methods we could use to create vocabulary sets on a given topic from a piece of text, say an article about climate change. This would allow us to determine the efficacy of using large language models and identify grammar structures present in such a piece of text. Ryan?
Yeah, so this summer our team performed a lot of testing with GPT in order to develop prompts that could do two things. So if we have an article written in Hindi, can we get these models to, number one, pick out specific words from the text to compile into a vocabulary set? And number two, can it analyze the grammar of this article and explain some of those grammatical concepts back to us? So as you can see on the slide, here's kind of an overview of the type of prompts that we started with. That simple prompt, just give me 10 words to describe climate change in Hindi, as compared to what we were currently using at the end. The simple prompt is extremely basic and doesn't give much detail. So what we figured out is that it helps a lot to give the model a role or a persona, such as telling it it's a Hindi professor teaching college level students. And we could also add describing details from there, such as the fluency of the reader, or to exclude basic vocabulary terms such as climate change from a list about climate change. And for reference, here's how some of these results changed. We were able to take some words that were more commonly used in conversation, such as climate change and flood, and replace them with words that may need a little more focus on studying, like deluge or thermal migration. We approached the issue of prompting for grammar topics a little bit differently. First, we developed a prompt that simply asked GPT to outline some grammar topics specific to Hindi in the article. However, we found that much of the time it would respond with concepts that weren't necessarily specific to Hindi, or ones that were extremely basic that beginner level speakers could learn, such as the one on the slide here, which is agreement of adjectives. It's a pretty standard rule in most languages and not really Hindi focused. So we changed our approach. Rather than giving our model free rein to respond with any grammar topics it deemed worthy, we decided to ask what it considered to be beginner, intermediate, and expert grammatical concepts for the Hindi language. So then we could ask our model to analyze just those specific advanced topics. For example, GPT told us that Tadbhava and Tatsama words were a pretty advanced concept in Hindi. So we asked it to find these specific Tadbhava and Tatsama words in a Hindi article. So yeah, this is just a short snippet of a pretty extensive response it gave us. Overall, it did a pretty good job once we asked it for specific grammatical concepts, and it even explained what to look for when trying to identify these concepts in the future. So then our next task was to put what we found from that prompt work into code. So by using LangChain with an API key for OpenAI, we created a program that asked a user for an article to analyze, as well as a topic that they wanted to study. And it was able to create a vocabulary set on that topic, consisting of words from the article. I will say that an issue that we encountered was that when we used the default OpenAI model, it wasn't able to process the amount of tokens in our prompt. But once we specified a model such as GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K, then it could process up to 16,000 tokens. So it was able to work with much longer articles. So if you were a user running this program, you would be prompted for the file of the article that you're reading in Hindi, the role of the chatbot, which the role that we've been using so far was Hindi professor teaching college students, as well as the topic of the vocab set you want to create. So whether it be climate change like we've been using, or you could ask it for ice cream flavors or any other topic that you would want to study for the article. And finally, just the number of terms that you want it to create. Your inputs would get sent over to fill in the prompt template, where GPT would format its response into a comma-separated list and write those terms into a JSON file. So yeah, perfect. Yeah, as you can see, this is GPT, or our code putting it into a JSON file. In the heading there, it's a nice repeat of all of the inputs you entered, and then a comma-separated list of all the terms it created. And then the code for analyzing the grammar was pretty similar overall. All it asks the user is for the article file, and then it outputs a Hindi grammar topic that it found in the article. Which next, yeah, perfect. As you can see, it does here. It doesn't right now analyze for specific grammar concepts like we tested for in the prompt, but that is our code that we've written is extremely malleable and can be adjusted to go in pretty much any direction. So that is a very quick change. Speaking of which, we do have some plans of action that we plan to take next. So yeah, like I just said, first we want to continue making updates to the code that we've already written. We have some easy changes planned already, such as minimizing the number of user inputs, just to simplify things on the user end. We want to make it as simple as possible for the user. Additionally, instead of having the user input one singular article file, we want them to have access to a database of hundreds or thousands of files based on whatever topic they want to study. So currently, we are waiting to receive a database of several thousand Hindi newspaper articles that we have ordered. And once we have access to these, it will allow us to develop a document store. So when a user enters a topic for their vocabulary set, like climate change or ice cream flavors, our code won't just scan one article. It'll be able to look through all of the articles, pick out the relevant ones for that topic, and then pick out the most relevant terms and buzzwords to create an optimal vocabulary set. So overall, our end goal for this project is to provide a tool to make learning new languages, such as Hindi, an easier task. Our hope is that this project will be able to make it into classrooms around the country to be used by students and instructors alike in order to aid with their curriculums, especially those with a lack of resources to do so right now. Eventually, this tool can be extended for use not just in Hindi, but nearly in any language that you're trying to use to learn. Yeah, and our project kind of just represents the future of language learning with AI, and we're excited to see more methods of this going forward, and we're happy to help pave the way.
Fantastic. Very, very exciting work. Especially working with languages, low resource languages. It's exciting to think that this can really open the door for other low resource languages for which there don't exist a lot of materials. Very exciting. Let me open this up for any questions or comments.
Hi, sorry, I had to switch to my car. I have to pick my son up from the bus stop. But I just wanted to, first of all, thank this team for all the excellent work that they've done. I think it's moving along really nicely, and I love that we've been able to sort of also start scaling grammar topics to include. That helps us get a level of readers and where the articles actually might be in terms of levels. So one of the exciting developments that is going to move forward with this project that nobody knows about, because I just found out this morning, was that we're going to be designing a curriculum for international Hindi learners at central universities in India. I just received a Fulbright Award to do that, and we'll be traveling there this fall. So I'm really looking forward to kind of live testing this with some people outside of who haven't worked on it yet.
Fantastic. Team, great work. Thank you so much for sharing.